Play 1. Is this an intentional foul? The team in white is down by 3 with just over a minute to play. Number 23 in white decides to foul by approaching the ball handler from behind and grabbing him around the waist. This is an intentional foul and should have been ruled as such by the officials. Fouling near the end of the game is an acceptable strategy, but players must learn to make an attempt at the ball. If the attempt at the ball is not made, officials need to rule the contact an intentional foul. Play 2. Is this the proper way to foul at the end of the game to stop the clock? Number 14 deliberately pushes number 1 in white in the backcourt in an attempt to stop the clock. Number 14 in black made no attempt to play the ball. This is an intentional foul and should have been ruled by the trail official. Officials need to keep in mind that the team that is ahead wants the clock to continue to run. Being placed at the free throw line near the end of the game can often be a disadvantage. Officials need to give teams the incentive to foul properly. Contact such as this is intentional and, if enforced properly, will cut down on this type of contact at the end of the games. Play 3. Is this excessive contact? With just over 30 seconds to go, number 31 in white runs toward the division line and pushes number 12 black to the floor. This is excessive contact and was properly ruled by the trail official. The covering official does a nice job of observing the contact and calmly signaling the intentional foul. It is important in plays such as this that officials not be too quick to head to the table to report the foul. This can be a volatile situation, and officials should be prepared to defuse the situation if needed. Play 4. Is this an intentional foul? Number 15 in black secures a rebound and begins to swing her elbows without making contact. Number 15 then pivots and contacts the defender, number 15 in white, above the shoulders with an elbow. This is excessive contact and should have been ruled an intentional foul by the officials. An elbow in movement that contacts an opponent above the shoulders should be an intentional foul. This is a dangerous play, and proper rules enforcement will go a long way in reducing these types of plays and increase players' safety. Play 5. What type of foul would you rule on this play? After receiving a long pass, number 4 in black is dribbling up the sideline when number 2 white approaches from behind. Number 2 in white catches up to the dribbler and pushes her out of bounds with 2 hands. This is an intentional foul and properly ruled by the lead official. The lead official properly stops the clock and calmly signals the intentional foul. On this play, the defender never made an attempt to play the ball. Officials need to be willing to rule intentional fouls when teams do not foul properly at the end of the game. Play 6. Was the official correct in ruling a common foul on this play? Down by 1 point with under a minute to go in the game, the team in white decides to foul to stop the clock. Number 2 in white approaches his opponent, number 1 in red, and hits his arm while making an attempt on the ball. This is a common foul and correctly ruled by the trail official. The ruling official properly displays the stop the clock signal and then indicates the throw-in spot on the sideline. Proper foul procedures also require officials to verbalize the color and number of the offender and display the proper signal for the type of foul that was committed. Play 7. Is this the proper way to foul and stop the clock at the end of the game? With less than 24 seconds to go and down by 2, the team in the dark-colored jerseys decide to foul and put their opponents on the free throw line. After the throw-in is completed, number 4 in black reaches in and illegally contacts her opponent. This is a common foul and properly ruled by the trail official. The trail official properly displays the stop the clock signal, then gives no further information at the spot of the foul. Proper foul procedures require officials to verbally state the color and number of the offender, signal the type of foul, and identify the shooter for partners when free throws are to follow. Play 8. Is this an intentional foul? Late in the game, with the team in blue leading by a significant margin, number 23 white reaches in and contacts number 5 in blue in the backcourt. This initial contact was ruled incidental, and as the play develops, both 23 and 20 in white contact the dribbler as she enters the front court. Is this contact excessive? Did the players in white make an adequate attempt at the ball for this to be ruled a common foul? You make the ruling. The ruling official displays the proper stop clock and pushing signals as well as communicates the number of free throws to her partner. Officials should also get in the habit of verbalizing the color and number of the offending player at the spot of the foul and informing their partners of the number of the free throw shooter.